Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite video games of all time, out of like the 7 video games I played in my entire life, and recently I was inspired to test my glowing adoration for it in a whole new way. I want to speedrun it. So for those of you who might be unfamiliar, so like relatives, speedrunning is the practice of trying to complete a video game as fast as humanly possible, most commonly done through the usage of glitches and hacks to try and get to the end.
You're obsessed!
What?
Your mom was right about you! She warned me, oh, be careful, Jay's gonna go through the games learning his glitches and hacks!
Right. So, anyway, speedrunning can be very difficult, but people can also make it look very, very easy. So seeing people like Point Crow speedrun this game like he's buttering a croissant led me to believe that, hey, it shouldn't be that hard. So I strapped myself in, I geared myself up, and I ventured out into a new world of which I had never experienced before. Speedrunning! The plan is simple. Get to the end of Breath of the Wild as fast as possible. And with the help of Limcube's concise and easy to understand tutorial, shout out to him by the way, I was well on my way to completing this goal. Until about 5 minutes in. You see, speedrunning this game isn't as simple as just sprinting from place to place and completing everything you need to in record time. You actually have to find ways to bypass a lot of the fanfare and cutscenes and glitch yourself through walls, as well as take advantage of the game's mechanics. In fact, it's like learning to play a whole new game with how much additional skill it takes in order to complete it. And this enhanced difficulty rather generously starts beating you on the head with a lead pipe within the first few minutes at this specific spot. Now, the goal here is to try and phase the main character Link through the walls of this shrine, which is relatively simple. First, perform a shield jump on this specific area of the shrine to set your speed level. Then line up Link's left foot precisely on this small smudge texture on the ground. To set up his angle, you must hold the throw button and aim the view reticle on the minimap just to the right of this pulsing yellow. Then make sure you have your shield equipped and perform a forward shield jump by holding ZL and forward on the joystick whilst rolling your thumb from X to the A button, and then you should have successfully done... Oh, this is gonna suck, isn't it? So it turns out that speedrunning is not necessarily a textbook affair. Who would have thunk that you still needed to put in time to actually practice these tricks to be good at them? I wish I did, because then I never would have tried this out in the first place. It certainly wasn't helping that my health was quite low when I was first practicing this, meaning this incessant warning sound was the soundtrack to every instance of failure while I was trying to complete this trick. Every time I failed, every time I failed, every time I failed, it was always there, beeping, beeping, beeping away. It was, to put it lightly, maddening. While many speedrunners can make this glitch look very easy, the truth is that there's a lot of practice behind that. Here, it was mainly a case of practicing the exact button movements and figuring out how best to position Link in such a way where the glitch could be performed. Annoyingly, this is a pretty precise practice, unless you already know what you're doing. But it's possible. Frustrating, but possible. And before the thought that I was just simply not good enough to speedrun began to ruminate in my mind, the unthinkable happened. Well, it's not really unthinkable, because look, I did it! I freaking did it! Hold on a second. There we go. And just like that snap sound effect, my morale was boosted all the way back up. And it felt like any challenge that lay ahead, I would most certainly be able to take head on. Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious. First we gotta deal with this frickin' guy. You know, I really don't trust him. Just some random old man out in the middle of the woods. Something fishy is going on. But now, let's discuss a popular trick within this speedrun that is both the coolest and yet most frustrating element of this entire thing. BTB, or Bullet Time Bounce, allows you to essentially bounce your shield off of a bocoblin's back and soar through the skies of Hyrule. So far, in fact, that the game physically can't keep up with you and has to spontaneously load to catch up with Link. There are going to be a few instances where using this trick will come up in the speedrun, so you can imagine my dismay when I was getting stripped of my will to live by the very first one. Again, pretty simple affair. Pulling it off is as easy as aligning Link's left foot to this difficult to spot rock texture, then aim and shoot an arrow on this tiny smudge on the ground, then continue aiming onto this other smudge texture and cancel the bow attack with an axe swing, then complete 1 to 2 more axe swings, then forward shield jump right above the goblin's lower back, and you should be good to... This was easily the most frustrated and closest to giving up I had ever been with this speedrun. And we're like, what, 7 minutes in at this point? I think this stems from the fact that as enticingly effortless as runners can make this look, and with tutorials giving easy to follow explanations on how to correctly perform these jumps, I still can't make it. Repeating and repeating the steps exactly as shown in this helpful tutorial should scientifically allow me to copy the practice. It's science. He showed me what to do, I do what he want me to do. R. Kelly joke, it's simple. And yet, for several hours, I was cooped up in my room, palms getting sweaty, mind deteriorating, anger rising, legs shifting uncomfortably, all in the attempt to copy word for word, bar for bar, movement for movement, exactly what I was supposed to do. Checking and rechecking the footage to double, triple, quadruple check that I was essentially a carbon copy of what I needed to be. But at a certain point, I was done. Yeah, frankly, I was a little peeved off at this, and I think I had a right to be. However, as I finally found an escape from the perplexed rage I was experiencing and took a few hours to cool off, I could simply not stop thinking about the BTB. It was honestly infectious, but this was when one of the true joys of speedrunning finally graced my frustration. I couldn't help but think about how awesome it was to finally get that shield skew from earlier. How rewarding it felt putting in that time and practice into something and finally being able to pull it off. It was tough, but still fair. And so with the thought of that BTB echoing endlessly throughout my mind, I started to feel like I could actually do it. The feeling of possibility came rushing back into my veins. And so I sat back down and I continued to practice, failing again and again and again. Link was really starting to hate me. I could feel his contempt seething through the screen. But I was determined. I tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed until I tried something else. No, not that. You see, this run had me tilting the camera to a top-down view of the bokoblins to visually reference where I would need to activate bullet time. But for some reason, probably because I was out of options at this point, I decided to keep the camera right where it was the whole time. As you can see, I was elated at the progress I had made. Well, not really, because you see, as the emotional whirlwind following that success finally began to die down, I realized that I had no idea what I just did. Like, at all. From here on out, whenever I needed to refer to this jump, I had to go back to this recording of it so that I could relearn the tricks from my own moves, because now my strategy for performing it had slightly deviated from the tutorial that I was very heavily relying on. But at that point, none of that concerned me. I had made relieving progress, and so now all I wanted to do was keep pushing forward and oh buddy boy, it's another friggin' shrine clip. And lucky for me, I still have 2 more of these to perform, with each individual shrine having their own unique skew angles and reference points. The saving grace, however, for my endurance through this speedrun was actually playing through the shrines themselves. See, you need to complete each of the 4, being Stasis, Cryonis, Magnesis, and the Bomb Shrine, in order to gain access to the paraglider we'll need later on. But these trials don't rely on glitches. They rely solely on speed. This is where my traditionalist views of speedrunning were fully realized. Cutting corners, managing your stamina. Ah, dang it, that always messes me up. Please don't die. No! Wait, oh, I'm alive. I had the fear of God just put in me. And the shrines themselves are still pretty fun, you know? The Magnesis shrine is pretty cool. You gotta do a friggin' shield jump over this gap and repeatedly struggle with just opening a door. They're probably the most fun parts of the speedrun, mainly because, for me, they're the least stressful. Once we come out of the Cryonis Shrine, we're faced with yet another bullet time bounce, which should be just as easy as shooting an arrow between aiming the bow at this other and you should have successfully... Oh, damn, that was actually pretty easy. I'll spare you the rest of my frustration, mainly because from this point on, most of the tricks that I would need to perform, I had already been well acquainted with, except for this BTB bounce, which I have never gotten once. I am really thankful that the tutorial said this one was chill to miss. No chance, come on. And it's pretty much typical fare after this. Phase through the Magnesis Shrine, launch yourself over here, miss the BTB, run haphazardly and phase into the Bomb Shrine, and then after that we should be done. And again with this guy. You know, how's he been following me around this fast? What is he, some friggin' ghost? I mean, I'm trying to speedrun this and he's coming around like it's no big... And let me tell you, once I had finally learned that last part of the Great Plateau tutorial, I knew, deep in my heart, that I'm fine with this. I don't want to do the whole game anymore. Look, it took me like a week and a half just to learn these tricks. I couldn't even imagine how many more it would take just to flawlessly perfect this section of the run, let alone the rest of the game. Plus, I had other videos that I wanted to make. Some people might make this mistake, but I am not actually a speedrunner. I'm more of a dude that makes YouTube videos, and this is the one instance of marriage between those two that I will ever endure, because I'm never doing this again. I'll just play it normally on Master Mode later. It's fine. I love Master Mode. It's a great game. I could play this endlessly. It's my favorite game. I love it.
Well done.
Also, hang on a second. What's this?
The time has come to show you who I truly am. I was King Rome Bosphoramus Hyrule.
Oh my freaking god! Is that King Rome Bosphoramus Hyrule? That stinky old man was King Rome Bosphoramus Hyrule? What a twist! I was floored, and after readjusting my goal to just the completion of the Great Plateau, from this point on, it was all about perfecting this section of the run, taking all the strategies I've learned thus far and refining them into a flawless routine. So now, all I have to do is complete a run of this game in under, what was it again?
I challenge you to beat this section in less than 20 minutes consistently, before you move on to take on to the extremely dangerous Hyrule Castle, Blights, and...
In under 30 minutes! And we're off, let's go. The run's not dead, the run's not dead. We're still going sub 20. Oh no! Oh, the run's not dead, We can still get it in under 20 minutes. We have like 10 minutes left. It takes us like 7 seconds to do the rest of the game. Oh! The run's not dead, guys. Don't worry, the run's not dead. The run's not dead. Oh no! The run's not dead. No, Link, please, man. Oh, Link, your head, man. Hey, you want to hear a funny joke? Sub 20. We did it. Sub 35. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't going great. I knew I could do it. I have this illegitimate run to prove it. But with my repeated attempts failing to meet that sub 30 benchmark, I was beginning to seriously doubt my skill. It was a special kind of demoralization because I knew I could do it, but my skills were begging otherwise. And now I could kind of sense things were starting to wind down. Do the shrine skip. Bounce that boy. Repeat those steps and... stasis the knockdown birch tree over towards the temple! But what are you looking at me for? Of course I did it!
I'm done.
What? You thought I wasn't gonna let this video have a satisfying ending? Of course I did it! It was easy! I mean, to be fair, I gave myself quite a lenient goal. Just don't ask me to do a sub 20. Please don't ask me to do a sub 20. And with that, I could now close this chapter of my life with relative satisfaction. But more than having accomplished something really cool that I can pompously brag about to people at the many, many parties that I actually do in fact get invited to, there was something else that this journey gave me. Throughout this challenge, I got a serious reality check on just how much time, effort, and dedication many speedrunners put into making this look easy. Because it's actually not easy, at least not for the casual gamer like me. However, despite the many infuriating hours I chose to spend just to accomplish one of these tricks at all, it never felt truly impossible. As I mentioned before, Point Crow is one such Zelda speedrunner whose gameplay fooled me into thinking that I could easily emulate those tricks as if it were nothing. But in eating my words, I gained a new empathy for those who have also tried and succeeded far beyond my reach. Adding a step onto that, I can barely imagine the tenacity and will of those who go scouting for these glitches in the first place. It's one thing to copy a tutorial. It's another thing entirely to discover the glitches and fine-tune the strategies that are the foundation of those tutorials. This isn't where it stops, however. There are millions of other games, each with their own speedrunning communities, many of which I will never try, because I am done. I did it, the video's over, I did what I had to do, now I can finally go back to doing what I think we can all agree I'm a pretty good master at. It's not my best.